Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream and welcome to all your latest Chelsea news. And of course, welcome back to the home of the world champions. Big up to everyone that is already locked in. Make sure you're smashing up the like, subscribe if you're new around here. Get involved in the chat, all of that good stuff. Another summer transfer window has come and gone. And we're going to be wrapping up a few loose ends from deadline day, assessing the window and looking forward to where Chelsea go from here in terms of this season between now and January. Is the squad better than what it was? Loads to dive into. Raheem Sterling should have been all too predictable. Is still at Chelsea Football Club. Apparently has no intentions of going to Saudi Arabia, Turkey or the MLS and will just train on his own until the next opportunity to leave in January. We're going to dive into that. Ben Chilwell did complete a move to Strasbourg. Might have come as a surprise, but fair play to him. You know, fair play to him. Tyrique George's move to Fulham, perhaps the big thing. That one collapsed, fell through. Fulham weren't able to get rid of Harry Wilson to Leeds, and so the Tyrique George move fell through. So he will return to Chelsea and, of course, be a Chelsea player, at least until January, maybe for this season as well. So there's a few loose ends of tie up. Again, David Fofana's move fell through as well. He had a loan move to Charlton Athletic, agreed. And that fell through at the last minute as well. Quite why all these deals are being left right up until the end, right up until the final minutes, I really don't know. But a few have fallen through. There are still a few windows open. You know, in terms of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, MLS. I think there's a few other rogue ones open in Europe. I think Greek window might still be open. So look, there's still opportunities. And of course, Axel Disasi still in. But big up to everyone that's locked in. Before we dive into the show, make sure you check out Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. Home shirt, away shirt, third kit, great quality, affordable prices, names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. Make sure you check it out. Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. Link is in the description. That's enough about that. Let's see what you lot are saying in the chat. And then we're going to get this show on the road. Just terminate Sterling's contract at this point. Yeah, I hear you. Another terrible win. Another transfer window open. That's why Sterling didn't leave. Yep, I hear it. Yes, big up, brother. Big up. Sterling's just, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Bro, I agreed with him on the fact that we are short in several key positions. We don't have a top goalkeeper. We should have signed a top centre-half. And we're a bit light at the top end of the pitch. I've got no issue agreeing with that. That's also my opinion. If I didn't agree with that, I would say I didn't agree with that. But at the end of the day, I do agree. We don't have a top goalkeeper. We should have signed a top centre-half. And we're light in centre-forward. I share that view, which is why I agreed. Another transfer window when you're looking forward to next season. Nah, look, I think, you know, I'm happy with the window in general. I'm happy with the window in general. It's just unfortunate that the way the window's ended, which has been a real disappointment, a bit unfortunate. You know, the way that the window's ended, I think it's been disappointing. That the way that the window's ended has kind of clouded people's judgment on when you sit back and look at the transfer window as a whole. You know, I always look at a window and think, have we upgraded in key areas? Yes, we have. Is the squad in general better than it was at the end of last season? Yes, it is. So that's 2 ticks there. That's 2 ticks there. However, have we failed to address key positions once again? Yes. Are we once again going into a season where we are light in key areas? Yes, we are. So that's how I look at it. Some good work's been done, but there's also things that we could have done much better and we simply didn't. I don't think that's a ridiculous standpoint to have. But I also respect other people's viewpoints to whether they disagree with me. Look, we tried to get Dean Huijsen, right? We know that Chelsea wanted Dean Huijsen. He went to Real Madrid. I've got no issue with missing out on him to Real Madrid. But after that, we literally didn't target a single centre-back. Why was that? Why was that? Because we wanted a centre-back when Chilwell was fit. We don't get Huijsen. We target no other centre-backs. And then we still don't target a centre-back when Chilwell was injured. And that's the one thing that I think Maresca's not going to be happy about with the transfer window, is the fact that is the fact that the manager didn't get what he wanted. You can dress it up however you want. The manager did not get what he wanted at the end of the day. Now, I think we have. I think the starting 11 has improved. I do believe the starting 11 is improved. You've got Joao Pedro in there now. Esteval is in there. I think the starting 11 has improved. Bro, it doesn't matter whether Jackson accepted his role or not. We are light in centre forward. It's as simple as that. You've got one out-and-out number 9 in Mark Guiu who's not ready for this role. So if you think we're not light at centre forward, that's fine. But I would really question why you think that. We are light in centre forward. It's as simple as that. And we didn't plan accordingly. We did not plan accordingly. It's as simple as that. Gurhi, we never went. We didn't want. Hincapié would have made sense if we hadn't have signed Jarell Hato. But Hincapié and Hato are quite similar. So, yeah, there wasn't really an issue in that one. There wasn't particularly an issue for me there. The centre-back department is extremely light. This is exactly it. This is exactly the issue, guys, is that we're so fixated on the future that we often don't focus on the here and now, And yes, we've made some good signings. I'm a fan of a lot of the work that we've done. But with the close of the window yesterday, it just felt like a bit of a sense of disappointment, a sense of we could have done more. We could have done more. We should have done more. We had an opportunity to do more, and we didn't. The George move collapsed because Fulham couldn't move out Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson was meant to join Leeds, and that move fell through, meaning that George's move, there was no space in the squad for Tyrique George. Yeah, the centre-back situation is not good. I absolutely agree. We have 3 strikers now and have to deal with Delap injury. Who are the 3 strikers we have right now? Because right now, Delap's out. We've got Joao Pedro, who's been cooking at number 10 in the last couple of games. And you've got Mark Guiu, who the manager didn't trust last season. He's going to suddenly trust him this season. Bro, it's okay to say that we're light in an area. It doesn't mean you hate the team. It doesn't mean that you don't support the team. I think so. I think so. But anyway, let's get into some of the news then. Let's start with that move for Tyrique George falling through, and then we'll move on to the other bits. And I feel really sorry for Tyrique George. I really do. Because, £22 million move agreed to Fulham. Great move for him. I think a fair fee, as we discussed yesterday, for someone with potential but limited Premier League experience. Obviously, Kevin signed from Shakhtar Donetsk. Chukwueze signed from AC Milan. So Fulham were more than covered in that area. They couldn't offload Harry Wilson. But I think you just got to feel for George a little bit from a personal standpoint, because he felt he was leaving. He wanted to leave to go and play regular minutes. And now he's obviously had to return to Chelsea. He's reportedly going to be part of the Champions League squad, according to reports. And he's going to have to settle for a bit part role. He's hardly going to play, if we're being brutally honest. He's hardly going to play. He'll maybe get a few Champions League games here and there. Maybe the one against Paphos, the Cypriot team. Maybe, he might get a few sub appearances in the competition, or if we've already qualified with a few games to spare, we might start him. But this is a real shame, because Tyrique George is not going to play. This has nothing to do with Chelsea. The move fell through because Fulham couldn't move on Harry Wilson to Leeds. That's why it fell through. Chelsea agreed a deal with Fulham. Fulham wanted him. They couldn't move him on. Now, we're in a situation where a young player who wanted to leave the football club to get more regular minutes is now back at Chelsea and is not going to play. Can people please tell me where they think Tyrique George is playing. Yeah, it's another body in this squad and whatnot, but it's one that we weren't using. It's another body, but it's one that we weren't using. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just disappointed, I guess. Just disappointed for him on a personal level, because he needed that move. He needed to go and play regular first team football. And now he's not. And now he's not going to do that. Now he's not going to do that. Maybe they come back in January. Yeah, maybe they will come back in January. I don't know, but it doesn't really help anyone to have players at the club that simply aren't going to play. He's not going to start much. He's barely going to feature in the Premier League. And yeah, he'll play league. He'll probably play at Lincoln away. He'll probably play in the early rounds of the FA Cup. Other than that, it's not going to happen. I just feel sorry for him, because it was absolutely right for him to move on. It was in the best interest for everyone. And I just feel bad for him. Are we going to let him leave in 6 months? Quite possibly. Will we get the same deal? Will Fulham still actually want him in 6 months? You know, this is what we don't know. This is what we don't know about the situation. This is what we simply don't know. But it's just a shame how that's ended up for us. A real shame. You know, we got to feel. I think you do have to feel sorry for him. You do have to feel sorry for him. But it is what it is. It's done, and there we go. We move. Hopefully, he gets a few opportunities. Bro, £22 million is not more than is not more. He's worth more than 20 million euros. Yeah, I was talking about 20 million pounds, and he was just about worth more than 20 million. Yeah, he's going to be gutted. He's going to be gutted, but we move. We move. You know, he'll get his head down. He'll train. He'll play when he's when he's called upon, and we simply have to move forward from it. But yeah, disappointment. To be honest, that is a disappointment. There's no other way of dressing it up. No other way of dressing it up, chap. That is I don't want to call it a major disappointment, because I think that's a bit of an overreaction, but it's a disappointment nonetheless. It's a disappointment nonetheless. But anyway, talking of major disappointments, and one which is not a surprise at all. Actually, let me just quickly read this article, see if there's any more details on the deal. It was a subject of interest from RB Leipzig on deadline day was Tyrique George. He was expected to leave. Yeah, anyway, there's nothing extra in there. One thing, so talking for feeling sorry for someone, to absolutely not feeling sorry for anyone whatsoever. Another window has come and gone, and Raheem Sterling is still at Chelsea Football Club. So we had it confirmed by Ben Jacobs. Sterling stays at Chelsea, and he's not open to moving to Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's not a surprise. That we know there was interest from Sterling before in Saudi, and it didn't happen. And this is exactly, and I've said it myself in the past, right? But for people that constantly complain about the wage structure and offering wages and high wages and whatnot, or paying players sort of what they want to a certain degree, this is the best example you could possibly have of why you shouldn't put players on high contracts, because you simply cannot get rid of them. You can't get rid of them. You know, the reason why we're so good at selling players is because the wages they're on are not outrageous whatsoever. And the two players that have been on big money at Chelsea were the two players we had the biggest issues getting rid of. Obviously, we managed to get Chilwell to Strasbourg on deadline day. Fair enough. But Raheem Sterling is taking the piss, taking the absolute piss out of us. You know, he's literally, I really question how hard him and his team actually tried to get a move. How hard did they really try to get a move? I don't think they tried particularly hard whatsoever. I'm not getting the feeling that a lot of effort was put in. Yeah, there were links with a few clubs here and there. There was nothing. There was nothing major. There was nothing major. But the fact that I fully understand, by the way, the guy's on over 300. The guy's on over 300 grand a week, right? Of course, he's just gonna want to sit there and collect that money, and then if I find a move, great. If I don't, no problem. The issue now is he's going to play zero football for the next, what is it, September, October, November. He's going to play no football for the next 4 months. And then what, we try and secure a move in January? Sterling is washed anyway, right? Who is suddenly going to think that didn't come in the summer is suddenly going to arrive in January and want to do a deal for Sterling when he's played no football for 4 months? It's crazy, chat. It's absolutely crazy. And it literally makes no sense whatsoever. Where's his ambition? Where's his drive and determination to go and prove people wrong? Even if you have to drop down a level a little bit. You know, he was linked with Fulhams and Palaces and West Hams. If you have to go to a club like that, that's your level now. That's your level. Okay? No one's paying the money that you earn unless you go to Saudi Arabia. And even they're not that stupid to pay you that money. But the only place that you're going to get anywhere near the money that he might want is Saudi. And he's not open to a move there. So we're in that situation there. So Sterling stays, not open to Saudi Arabia. Then you get this from Kieran Gill this morning. Raheem Sterling. Saudi window still open, but told no desire to move there this summer. Ambitions include adding to his 82 England caps. 30-year-old will train separately if necessary until next opportunity to leave in January. Is this guy deluded? In what world does he think he's adding to his England caps? He's never getting back in that England squad. He's done for England. Absolutely done. And if his ambitions are to get back into the England squad, why has he not moved to a lesser club to go and play regularly? Almost like a Jack Grealish to an extent. You know, Everton's still a massive football club, but it's a lesser club than City. Okay, but he's going back there to play regularly, rediscover his love for the game and show what he's about. Why has Sterling not got that mentality? Why doesn't he want to go and play football? Why is he happy to just sit on his arse, train on his own and pick up all this money? Well, why is he happy to do that? You know, this is a guy that's not short of money, by the way. It's not like Chelsea was a big move for him, you know. It's not like Chelsea was a big move for him and he's you know, this is like generational wealth from him. The guy is already very, very wealthy. He doesn't need this money. So why? Why? Why does he have this mentality? I just don't get it. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. But it was something that we could all see coming. It's something we could all see coming. And now we're stuck with Raheem Sterling. He's going to train on his own, fine, no issues. But we're still paying him 325 grand a week to contribute absolutely nothing to Chelsea Football Club. If I was him, I'd be getting onto my agents. Guys, why haven't you sorted me a move? Okay, I'll go to Turkey. I'll go to Saudi Arabia. I'll go to the MLS or whatever it is. Let me go and play football and you know, get my match fitness back, get myself back into some sort of form, and then maybe I get a different move later on. You know, and I fully get it. Why he would want to stay and accept the money. You know, he's had a good career. You know, he's had a good career. There's no denying that. But yeah, I just feel it all just leaves a bit of a bad taste in the mouth. And you can understand why so many fans are fuming with him. You know, I think it would cost 24 million or something to pay off his contract if he wanted to pay off the last 2 years of his deal. I think it would cost you in the region of that to do it. But yeah, it's sickening, really. It really is. I just don't. I do understand, but I also don't understand. You know, we've known from day one of this transfer window, that Raheem Sterling wasn't wanted and we needed to get rid of him. How between the club and Sterling have we arrived at a situation where, let's be honest, he was nowhere near a move anywhere. He was nowhere near leaving the football club at any point in time. Literally nowhere near. So, what are we supposed to do? This guy, I'm telling you now, this is one of the top 5 worst Chelsea transfers of all time. Worst Chelsea transfers of all time. It goes in top 3, top 5. Easily. I mean, guys in the chat, let me know your thoughts. Where would you rank the Raheem Sterling deal in terms of worst Chelsea transfers of all time? Because for me, it's up there, top 4, top 5. Easy. Chat, keep smashing the likes. So 171 in the building, only 49 likes. Smash up the like button, subscribe if you're new around here as well. But yeah, make sure you're smashing those likes. Get this up over 100 likes as quickly as possible. Run it up, run it up. It's a terrible, terrible signing. It's been an utter nightmare and a complete disaster. And he's still got 2 years left on his contract. He's the highest paid player at Chelsea. And he's getting away with absolute murder, and you can't even blame him either. You can't even blame him. And the geezer's just chilling on holiday. I mean, there's nothing progressing. There's nothing progressing on Sterling's future. It's so poor. And I really do think we should look at terminating the contract, if that's possible whatsoever. But at the end of the day, he's in the bomb squad. He's training on his own, and he's not going to contribute anything to Chelsea whatsoever. But if he really thinks he's getting back in the England squad, he is absolutely deluded. Absolutely deluded. But yeah, we have to hope now. We have to hope that someone else. We have to hope that someone else comes in for him. But yeah, it's a top 5 worst transfers of all time for Chelsea. It's not even close, chat. It's not even close. It's well up there with the worst. And now that's the Sterling debacle done. People can talk about other transfer windows being open. Those transfer windows, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Maybe some clubs might try. Some clubs might try. But ultimately, Raheem Sterling, for all I care, he can play 2-touch in his garden with Axel Disasi. They can play 2-touch in the garden. But the Raheem Sterling's career drop-off has been mental. The downfall has been unreal. The downfall's been unreal. No, since he left City, he's just been on a downward spiral. The career has just been absolutely nosedived. And that shit needs to be studied. That shit absolutely needs to be studied, how his career is nosedived. But at the time, we signed him because Tuchel wanted him. Tuchel was really big behind the Sterling signing. And actually, when he first joined, there were some decent performances. We offered him a ridiculous contract, no doubts about it. And that's one of the major reasons why we're obviously struggling to get rid of him. No doubt about it. But Sterling, you know, I get it from both points of view. I fully understand why he's just going to sit on that fat contract. But I also sort of think, where's your desire? Where's your mentality, you know, to go and play, to go and prove people wrong about you? You say you've got ambitions to add to your England caps, but you're going to sit on your ass and get paid 325 grand a week and play no football for at least 4 months. And you think someone's going to come and get you in January. I really do question his mindset. I really do question it. And he was the first signing under Clearlake, and he's the worst signing we've made under this ownership. The worst. Comfortably the worst. So, yeah, there we are on Sterling. And that's where we are. Simple as that. I said it before, Sterling's motion was just about returning to London. He's won a lot in his career, so no rule. Yeah, maybe there's not. We're cooked if Tosin or Chalobah get injured. I agree, brother. I agree. Bro, he's not even going to do that. He'll literally be training on his own, and that's all he's going to be doing. No news on Mudryk. You know, we had obviously the news that he'd been charged, but we knew that anyway. But that they just formalised it. And other than that, yeah, there's been nothing. Absolutely nothing. Bro, he doesn't want to go on loan. Yeah, I also think this is a fair point. You know, I think for sure the best of Raheem Sterling has already been seen. The best of Raheem Sterling has definitely been seen. For me, he doesn't get anywhere near back to his best. For me, he doesn't get anywhere near back to his best. I think there's almost no chance of that, personally. But anyway, let's move on to Disasi. Let's move on to Disasi because Disasi's still here as well. Again, frustrating that another player who we knew from day one we needed to move on. We were unable to move on for whatever reason. Player reason, club reason. Disasi, I still think, could go to a Turkey or a Saudi Arabia. He absolutely could. He absolutely could. He could definitely go to a Turkey or a Saudi. But anyway, Axel Disasi told Marseille and Monaco showed interest today. So this was yesterday. But lack of international loan spots, obviously, yeah, because Jackson took the last loan spot, as well as overall cost. Crystal Palace and West Ham explored too, but a no-go. I don't understand why. I know Disasi has not been great, but what I don't understand is why was there... No one really made any offers for him. No one seemed to make any offers for him. Which I just find that strange. I just find it a little bit strange, chat, that no offers were made. Absolutely zero offers for Axel Disasi. I would be surprised if Disasi literally is going to play no football for 4 months. I would hope and expect him to maybe go to a Saudi or for him to go to a Turkey or something like that. Surely there'll be options there. Otherwise, it's another player whose value is just going to go through the floor for not playing for 4 months. Yeah, and the Saudi window closes on the 10th. So we've got like 8 to 10 days left. 8 to 10 days left. West Ham, though, I think West Ham looked at the deal and it was too expensive. West Ham were interested, but I think the finances of the deal are what put them off. I think the same with Bournemouth and the same potentially with Crystal Palace as well. They were put off by the finances. Now, Disasi won't get put back in the squad. No way. He might not train on his own, but maybe he'll train with the squad, but he's not going to suddenly be used or making match day squads. I think that is very clear that his time is up. You know, his time is definitely up. But again, you know, did we price Disasi out of a move? Did we do enough to try and find a move? Did he do enough to find a move? Where was it his demands or our demands that were putting people off? Are we going to bring Axel Disasi back to the team? No, I don't think so. But again, no one really wanted Disasi on a permanent. Jackson's loan to Bayern ended Disasi going on an international loan because Jackson took up the last spot. Disasi might well train with the first team squad again. But yeah, he's not going to be used in games or anything like that. No, I personally don't see that whatsoever. I really don't. Chat, keep smashing up the likes. We're 30 likes away from 100 likes. Let's run it up as quickly as possible, guys. Let's get it done. You know, let's get it done. Simple. Smash the like button. Keep subscribing if you're new. Buddy Ashil is just an enigma. I don't know what's happened to him, because he was a player that was unreal in the first 6 months alongside Thiago Silva. Got an injury at the end of that season that ruled him out for a while. Came back under Poch. Form had deserted him. And really, since then, he's really struggled to get into the team. Really struggled to get into the team. How do you know? Have we recalled Deivid Washington? I've not seen that anyway. Let me have a look if that is the case. Have we recalled Deivid Washington? I don't think we have. But I could have missed that one. I could have missed it. Oh no, we have. Apparently we have. I mean, it's not been confirmed by the club, but apparently we have recalled him. But we'll send him somewhere else. We'll definitely send him somewhere else. No, bro, that will happen. That will happen. I presume they're in talks. I don't know. I don't fully know what's going on. We're not struggling to get a sponsor. I think it's just that the terms of the deal and the length of the deal that's the issue. I'm pretty sure the Saudi window closes on the 10th. I don't think it closes on the 7th. I'm pretty certain it was the 10th. Saudi transfer window deadline. No, it's Wednesday, September 10th. Yeah, it closes on the 10th of September, the Saudi window. No, we didn't sell Washington. We loaned him back to Santos. We loaned him to Santos, and his loan goes until the end of the year. It goes to December 2025. Dacho Fofana, yeah, he is part of the bomb squad. Yeah, his move fell through last minute. What I don't understand is when you've got all these players from day one of the window, you don't want, you're trying to get rid of. Why are those deals not done earlier on? Why is it that Dacho Fofana is scrambling around for a loan right at the end of the window, and it collapses because you run out of time? Like, these things are just so avoidable. These things are so avoidable, which is what I don't get. So avoidable. But look, I'd like to think Disasi is not the same sort of character or mindset as Sterling, and Disasi would actually like to go and play. I mean, I'd like to think that would be the case. But we don't really know. We don't know. I think it was an 18-month loan deal is what it was. Bro, Dacho Fofana was signed in January 2023. And yeah, Celtic, he didn't want to go to Celtic. I don't blame him, to be honest. Oh, because he was going to go to Charlton, and that move fell through. It's not all on Chelsea, by the way. It's also on the player. The player could have obviously potentially gone elsewhere. But why things are done so late in the window, it's just really baffling. It's just really baffling why things are done so late in the window, and why things are just left into the last minute. Why do all these things get left lastminute.com? It's so shit. I mean, Sterling and Disasi won't play. People are saying, but they might play in the third round of the FA Cup. No, I don't see it. I do not see it at all. Bro, Dacho Fofana is not going to be playing for Chelsea. There'll be nothing from Dacho Fofana. Yeah, look, over 300 million in player sales is very good. But again, you can look at it both ways. It's good, but it's also like highlights how many players we've signed that have just turned out to not be good enough, which it also highlights that as well. You can look at it both ways. We've sold really well. We've done great with outgoings, but again, should we be in that position where we've got to sell that many players? I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Yeah, he's not going to go to Netherlands. Netherlands closes today. He's not going there. Belgium and Switzerland, probably not. Greece and Serbia. Yeah. No, Mark Guiu can't play in the Carabao Cup because he's cup tied. He played in the second round for Sunderland and he scored for them in that game. But no, Mark Guiu can't play in the cup. He can't play in the Carabao Cup. No, he's cup tied. I would like to think so. I would like to think so, but I personally don't see it. I personally don't see it, chap. I just don't. And that's the concern. That's the major concern, is that we are hoarding too many players. And then, yeah, it looks great, you know, when we sell these players and we make money, and you know, you see the headline figure for the money we've made through player sales. But the only reason we've made that money is because we've bought so many players, we've then had to sell them. That's why we shouldn't happen to be selling this many players every window. That for me shouldn't be the case. Why are we selling so many players every window? You know, I get it. You buy some players to flip them on, but a lot of the players that have left have been signings that haven't worked out, and that is a lot of signings to be sold which haven't worked out. Some of them are, some of them are purely signed with flipping in mind for profit. Absolutely, some of them are purely designed for that. I agree. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. But anyway, Ben Chilwell did move to Strasbourg, and I think that needs to be congratulated. But you know what was also weird, right? A strange deal that went through that we didn't even know about. You know, remember we sold Ish Samuel-Smith to Strasbourg? Well, yesterday he signed back for Chelsea, and he's gone on loan to Swansea, which is a bizarre turn of events, an absolute bizarre turn of events. So Ish Samuel-Smith has rejoined Chelsea from Strasbourg and gone on loan to Swansea. So we sold Samuel-Smith for about £7 million to Strasbourg. He done pre-season there. I don't know if he played or not for Strasbourg, and now he's now signed back for Chelsea. But Nizar Cancelo's given reasons here. So his competitor Ismail Doucouré had been frozen out over a contract impasse when he joined, but he ultimately extended his contract by a further 2 years in late August. Chilwell also joined. Deemed an important player to Bluecoats, a decision taken together to loan him to Swansea. Reversal similar to Chelsea, to when Chelsea let winger Tyler Dibbling return to Southampton, which was then partly due to homesickness at the time and effectively were given a refund of the transfer fee. So this is really strange. But anyway, Samuel-Smith has gone to Swansea, and he's now a Chelsea player again, which is bizarre. And you can sort of see why people might think, oh, that's a little bit odd. But no, look, fair play. I absolutely rate Ben Chilwell going to Strasbourg. I do find it incredible, right, how if we didn't own Strasbourg, that we're in a situation where there wouldn't appear to be a single club that wants Ben Chilwell. The guy's 28, okay? Yeah, he's had a lot of injury problems, but he's still a good footballer. Obviously not what Chelsea are looking for anymore. He's had a lot of injury issues, not at the heights he's been at previously. But it's kind of mad, isn't it? How seemingly no one wanted him. It's crazy. Didn't we get a fee for? I don't think we did get a fee for Chilwell. No, probably not. I suspect what's happened is that Chilwell's contract with Strasbourg is a 2-year deal. 2 years left on his contract at Chelsea. I suspect what's happening is that Chelsea and Strasbourg have split the wages between them. They split the wages between them. And so Strasbourg probably paying half the wages and Chelsea are probably paying half the wages or something like that. I suspect that's the situation that we're in. I absolutely suspect that's the situation. Yeah, I'm sure that's part of the plans. You know, we do need to get ourselves another club in the multi-club model. But yeah, obviously Chilwell's obviously now replaced Ish Samuel-Smith in the squad. That seems to be what's taken place there. Yeah, it's an interesting one, chat. It's absolutely an interesting one. No two ways about it. Yeah, Strasbourg sold Bakwa. To be honest, not a great price either. Should have got more for him. To be honest, should have got more for him. Wasn't there going to? Well, no, I think that we were potentially going to buy a stake in Sporting or something, but Chelsea were never going to buy Sporting Lisbon. You're not going to get clubs the size and the caliber of Sporting Lisbon as part of a multi-club model. They're generally going to be lower clubs with a lower prestige. Backward is very good, and I thought we could have got more money. Strasbourg could have got more money for him. I really do. How much he's going to play at Forest? I've got no idea. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know. You need a club in Brazil, a club in Portugal. Those sorts of places will do wonders for us. Absolutely will do wonders. Chat, keep smashing the likes. We're only on 83. Come on, guys. We need to run these. I think Bakwa was like 35 million euros, maybe 40 million euros. I think you could have got more money for him. But yeah, chat, keep smashing the likes up. We're 183 in the building. We haven't even reached 100 likes. What are we playing at here? Smash that like button. Run it up. Run it up. Bro, they didn't table a 70 million bid. That wasn't true. Literally, all that's happened is the loan deal with an option. That option became an obligation based on hitting a certain amount of appearances, and we got an extra million from on the loan fee. That we got an extra million on the loan fee, or $1.5 million. And instead of it being an option, it's an obligation after a certain amount of appearances. So Bayern didn't table a new bid. The deal's the same, except we got a slightly bigger loan fee, and it's an obligation rather than an option. That's it. So people that were saying, "Oh, there was a 70 million euro bid from Bayern," there was no 70 million euro bid from Bayern. That's reportedly the plan. Whether that's still going to be the plan come next summer, I don't know. Let's wait and see how Amiga does this summer. But yeah, no, that's reportedly the plan. That's reportedly what the plan's going to be. So yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on it. But yes, Ish Samuel-Smith, Chilwell going is great. I think I'm looking forward to seeing what Ben Chilwell can actually do at Strasbourg. You know, let's see if he can actually get a decent amount of minutes. Let's see if he can get a decent amount of minutes at you know, we need him to play regular football, needs to get a decent amount of minutes, and so let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on that one. But I guess, you know, overriding thoughts on the window, chat. It's interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. Man City have got interesting ones. They've got, I think they own Palermo, which was an Italian second division side. It might be Serie A now. I'm not sure. They own New York City in New York City in the MLS. They also own Girona in La Liga. They also own Melbourne FC in the A League. They've got quite a few clubs. The City Group. There's at least 4 or 5 in the City Group. There could even be more. Yeah, I thought we might only let one go, but it ended up being 2. Excuse me. I've not followed them massively. But yeah, yeah, it's a super young team. It's a super young team. A super young team. No doubt about it. It really is, chap. It really is a young team. But yeah, they got a good network. I'd probably say I would give it a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10. But my sort of overriding thoughts are sort of just, it's a massive case of what if, really. Great business on player sales. Absolutely, chat. I think we can all agree that. Great business on player sales. Some really good business on incomings, but just a sense of being left a little bit short. But it just feels like every window under this ownership one, it's always about looking forward to next season rather than the current one. That's the biggest thing for me, is that we're always talking about looking forward to next season, next window, next this, next that, rather than the current one. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from Chelsea under Clearlake, is that it's always about the next season rather than the current season. That's what it feels like. And as I said at the top of the show, it's one of those, chat, where you're like, okay, the end of the window was poor, but the way that the window finished shouldn't cloud the judgment of the window in general. We got rid of a lot of dead wood. We didn't sign players in key areas, unfortunately. Will the UEFA restriction be in next season? I don't know how many seasons it's in place for. But yeah, obviously that caused us a lot more problems. But I think, look, Chad, if we go through this as a whole, right? If you look at the window, have we done enough to finish in the top 4 again? Yeah, I think so. I think we've got more than enough to finish in the top 4 again. Did we really stamp our authority on this squad and sort of push forward and invest how I thought we would? Not really. You know, I guess, let's look at the players, guys. Who are we linked to that we didn't get? We were linked to Xavi Simons. We didn't get him. We're linked to Fermin Lopez. Didn't get him. There were links to Mohamed Kudus. How serious it was, we don't know, but we didn't explore that. We are linked with Hugo Ekitike. We didn't go any further with it. Mike Mignan, another one. You know, when you look at that's 5 names there. Simons, Lopez, Kudus, Ekitike, Mignan. 5 names that we were linked with. The fact that we got none of those 5 names is disappointing. Is absolutely disappointing. Yes, the squad is stronger, but I think we've missed an opportunity to do a bit more. No proven top centre-backs come in. It's underwhelming. When you go from Simons and Lopez to Buonanotte on loan, it's underwhelming. When you've got a huge opportunity to upgrade your goalkeeper and you don't do it over 4 or 5 million, it's hugely underwhelming. It's, as I said, it's always about looking forward to next season, rather than the current one. You know, you've got Quenda, Paez, Penders maybe coming back. Do I think we're going to have a bad season? No. Do I think we've absolutely got a good squad? We've absolutely got a good squad. Have we? I don't know. Would you swap? Let's put it this way. We've got a good squad, right? We've had a decent window. But would you swap our transfer window with Liverpool's, with Arsenal's, with City's? The teams that we're competing with to try and close the gap. Would you swap our transfer window for their transfer windows? I'm not sure you would. I'm not swapping it for Liverpool's. I'm not swapping it for Arsenal's. City maybe. City's the closest one that you could possibly look at. Should be back after the international break at some point. You know, should be back at some point after the international break. That's the hope and the expectation. By the way, chat, come on, guys, let's get this to 100 likes. How are we still only on 93? What's going on here? What is going on here, chat? Run it up, run it up, run it up. Come on, guys. I wouldn't swap it personally with Liverpool's or City's or even Spurs to a degree. You know, Spurs signing Xavi Simons, Kolo Muani, Kudos. I'm not saying that Spurs are going to finish ahead of us, by the way. They're absolutely not. But, you know, when you look at the caliber of players that they're signing, it's going to be interesting, chat. You know, but you do feel it's a bit underwhelming. Disappointment. Striking position, as I touched on earlier, is uncertain. Left wing position, Gittins and Garnacho, uncertainty. Centre backs, uncertainty. Goalkeeper, uncertainty. You know, this is 3 or 4 key areas where we're heading into a season, and there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks over 3 or 4 key areas and key positions. That's not good, chat. That's not good. And only time will tell whether that's going to cost us. Only time will tell whether that's going to cost us. You know, only time will tell. But it's just frustrating because we could have potentially put a decent title challenge together with a few more with a few more proven signings. Is the league open this year? I think it is. Liverpool are comfortably the best, but I'm not blown away by Arsenal or City. I'm really not. But once again, it's another window, guys, of we are placing bets, or we're hoping that players become as good as we think. We're betting on players to develop like we think they are, to become as good as we think they can. Another window of that. It's disappointing. Another window of that is disappointing. I don't care how you dress it up. That shit's disappointing. It really is. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, look, Maresca has been backed, but he's not been backed enough, in my opinion. Most of the transfers are a gamble. Absolutely, most of the transfers are a gamble. 100% they are. But as long as we improve, the most important thing this season is that we improve. Have we done enough to improve? Yeah, I think we absolutely have done enough to improve. No doubt about it. We've done enough to improve. Have we done enough to close the gap on the teams above us? That's the big question. That's the big question. Have we done enough to close the gap on the teams above us? That's the $1 million question here, chap. That's the $1 million question. You know, the $1 million question is, will we have we closed the gap enough? Verts will be fine. Verts will be fine. You know, it's 3 games into a new season. I don't think we can be. We're not going to be doing this thing. We'll be judged players after 3 games. Absolutely not. It's screamed incompetence this deadline day. You can't convince me solid striker in lower level club. Bro, Crystal Palace were never going to loan Mateta out. Yeah, look, City don't look great, but I still think, you know, we can't be drawing any conclusions, by the way. We cannot be drawing any conclusions on the season based on 3 games. No chance. Based on 3 games, we cannot be drawing any conclusions, chat. No conclusions whatsoever. But it is a concern how one injury to Liam Delap has left us flapping at centre forward. It's left us flapping. I reckon we've got a fair shot at second this year. The league is Liverpool's to lose. I've backed us to come third. I backed at the end of the season. So at the start of the summer, I think we'll come third. And I'm not changing my mind on that after 3 games. No way. No way. No way am I. You can't really make it until like 10 games into the season is really when you can start making some assumptions. You can make some early prognosis after 3 games, but it's nothing that's valid. I would agree with that. But out of the teams that finished in the top 4 last season, City have looked the worst so far. But again, City are normally slow starters. We started off like a house on fire last season. And ultimately, that's the reason we finished in the top 4 in the end, was because of our start, was thanks to our start. If we didn't started so well, we may not have got Champions League football. We may not have got it. You know? Yeah, something with City doesn't. I agree that something with City is not looking quite right. I think that's absolutely fair. Something with City is looking a bit off. It's looking a bit off. Yeah, no, of course, every team has got flaws. Every team, of course, they do. Every team has got areas of weakness. It's just some teams have got more areas of weakness than others. Liverpool not getting Gurhey was big. But them in midfield and them going forward is scary. It's ridiculous, the quality and the firepower they've got. It is ridiculous. No, look, we will trust the squad. There's no choice but to trust the squad. We have to trust the squad. That there's no other option than trust the squad. But I'll be honest now. I think Pep personally has stayed 1 year too long. He stayed 1 year too long. And I do also think this will for me personally. I think this will be the last year of Pep. I think this will be Pep's final season at City. It just feels like it's all unraveling a little bit. It just feels like it's the end of the road has come. It feels like the end of the road has arrived for Pep and City. Boys to men. End of the road. That's what it feels like. And yeah, maybe it is a changing of an era. Maybe it is. Maybe Liverpool are going to dominate the league for 2, 3, 4 years. We just don't know. But I think all we can ask for from a Chelsea perspective is just keep on improving. But it's going to be harder and harder to improve next year on year. It's easy to go from 12th to 6th and then 6th into the top 4. It's a lot harder to break into the top 3, top 2, winning the title from where we are. So the progress is going to be smaller. That's the reality, because there's less room for that progress. There's less room for that progress. 115. I don't know what's going on with that. Absolutely no idea. I'm sure that case will be heard at some point. Has it already been heard? I mean, I really don't know. I really don't know what's happening with that. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what's happening with the 115. I don't know. Look, you say you missed out on Donnarumma. We didn't even try for him. Clearly, for whatever reason, Chelsea feel that they're happy with Robert Sanchez. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. It's very simple. Yeah. No, look, PSG, one, he couldn't agree a new contract, and two, PSG Enrique decided he wanted a different goalkeeper. You know, it is what it is. Donnarumma is, by the way, on his lines, probably the best goalkeeper in the world. You know, Donnarumma is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I don't have any doubts about that whatsoever. The guy is a top goalkeeper. Simple as that. But yeah, it's frustrating. You know, I still don't get the Manyan thing. I still can't get my head around it. I still can't get my head around it, guys. Yes, all good, brother. All good, mate. Feels weird now. You know, you've had that massive buzz of the transfer window through the summer. You've had the start of the Premier League season. We've had 3 games, and now it's just like a big lull, and you're like, sort of shit. It's international break. You literally go from having so much stuff to talk about to literally next to nothing to talk about. It's mental. It is mad. And so yeah, look, I think, yeah, look, for me, we should have signed Javi Simmons. The one big question I've got is why we prioritized Garnacho over Simmons. You know, but I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You know, you got an opportunity to sign Javi Simmons. You prioritize Garnacho over him. The Fermin Lopez thing, I think, was just all bluff. All sort of, oh, we missed out on Simmons. Let's try and, you know, make it out like we're going to sign someone else. I don't think there were ever any intentions of signing Fermin Lopez. That was never going to happen. I mean, a rogue bid goes in. That was never going to get. It was never going to get accepted. By the way, I'm not saying that Buonanotte is a bad player. I'm not saying that. My thing is how often is he going to play? Because Joao Felix barely played. Nkunku hardly played. For me, there's 2 players ahead of him in the pecking order at number 10. You could even argue 3. Palmer is first choice 10. Then I'd say Joao Pedro in the 10 would be ahead of Buonanotte. I'd even say that Esteval maybe could be ahead of him in the 10. Definitely 2. So Buonanotte signed on loan, right? And he's going to be a third choice 10. So he's basically swapped being a backup at Brighton for being a backup at Chelsea. And it's a dry loan as well. Yes, we've got an option to match we can match any offer if we wish to do so. So we've got the option to match an offer. But whether we will or not remains to be seen. I don't know whether we will or not. It just feels like a bit of a strange one. It just feels like a strange one, chat. Look, Gittins had 3 games. If you're purely basing it on 3 games, he's not looked great. I think that's definitely fair to say that he's not looked great on the 3 games that we've had. However, there's ability there. There's definitely talent there. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. And that's the simple reality of it. It's going to take time for that to come together. Whether it does come together or not, I don't know. But it is going to take a bit of time. Let's make no mistake about it. Well, let's see. Let's see. I don't agree at all that Buonanotte is better than Simmons. He simply isn't. But we'll see. We'll find out in due course. We'll see how much Buonanotte actually plays. He'll play League Cup. He'll play FA Cup. I don't see him starting very many Premier League games. Let's wait and see. I hope that he does well. Like every player that signs for Chelsea, I want every player that signs for Chelsea to do well. But at the end of the day, I'm not convinced at all that Buonanotte is better than Simmons. I disagree. He's not poor in a 10 at all. I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to tell because you don't know about injuries, rotation, or whatever. You just don't know. If we sign Xavi Simmons out of providing he stayed fit for a whole season, how many out of 38 Premier League games is he starting? Probably 20 maybe. Between 20 and 25, I think maybe he would have started. No, I said on Esteval that we shouldn't be don't put him under pressure and expect him to perform from day one. He's made a very good start. I never said that my main thing was not to be putting Esteval under pressure to deliver from day one. That's what I'd always insisted. Bet him in slowly, and we are betting him in slowly. And I think he's doing better so far than a lot of people expected him to do. I've never doubted the quality. It's more about putting the pressure on it. Yeah, in terms of, I feel that he should have been. In terms of there shouldn't be an expectation for him to perform from day one. But it looks like he's going to have a far more important role than I perhaps felt, and I'm more than happy with that. But my main point has always been: don't put pressure on the kid and expect him to perform from day one. That's it. No, because what you're not understanding is that Simmons wouldn't constantly play as a 10. Simmons would play on the left as well as a left inside forward. Palmer might start some games on the right. So this is what people don't understand, right? Is that Simmons is not just a number 10. He could also play off the left. Simmons wouldn't purely be signed as a 10. So Simmons is not going to start in front of Palmer 25 times, but that's not how it works. Which is the point that I'm making here. That's not how it works. So yeah, that's my thing on it. Yeah, Simmons is the thing is, bro, we don't play with two wingers. We don't play with two wingers. We'd have one touchline winger, and then on the other side, like Esteval away at West Ham, he played more as a right inside forward with Gusto overlapping. If Palmer goes out to the right-hand side and you pay Pedro as a 10, Palmer's going to play as a right inside forward with Gusto overlapping. So we've got the abilities to mix it up. So Simmons would start on the left-hand side, but he would play as more of a left inside forward. And look, Garnacho, I think, could end up being quite good for Chelsea. He could end up being quite good for Chelsea. And I hope that he does end up being good for us. I hope that is the case. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of rotation here. That can happen. So yeah, we've got enough to win a trophy. We've got enough to finish in the top 4. We just could have done more. We just could have done more. Exactly, and Simmons would have been exactly the same on that left side. He could have been a left side player /10. That's base. That's what he is. That's what he is. I mean, the guy started 14 games for Leicester last season. So he played 14. He started 14 games for Leicester out of the 35 appearances that he made. Okay, so I don't know if he had any injury issues at Leicester, but if you're not a regular starter for Leicester, then can you be expecting major contributions at Chelsea? The fact there's only a matching rights situation on Buonanotte. Are there any? Is there really much emphasis to play him? Is there? I honestly don't think he's going to play much. I could be wrong on that, and I could end up being wrong on it. But I don't get the impression that Buonanotte is going to play an awful lot. I don't think so. That's fine if you disagree. I've got no problem if you disagree. But this idea that Simmons wouldn't get much game time, I just don't buy it at all. I just don't buy it at all. And yeah, look, the injuries to Chilwell and Delap have soured the end of the window. They have soured. It has soured the end of the window. No doubt about it. Injuries to Chilwell and Delap have soured the end of the window. And the fact they've not been replaced has kind of made the window feel worse than it was. We don't know what the situation is. Maresca said after the game, 6 to 8 weeks, he thought, as an initial prognosis. But then there was a report on Sunday saying that Delap needs to undergo further scans in the next 48 hours to decide, to see, because he could be out for longer. So let's see. Bro, that just simply isn't true. That just simply is not true. But yeah, look, that's kind of the situation, the reality of the situation, chat. Those injuries have definitely given it a worse feel. Bro, he plays as a left inside forward. We're not talking about him playing as an actual proper winger. Bro, you can invert from the opposite side. You don't have to invert Cucurella. Cucurella doesn't invert every game. He doesn't invert every game. If you're playing Reece James, you can invert Reece. And have Cucurella, and Cucurella could bomb on. You can have him overlapping on that side. You don't have to invert Cucurella every game. Cucurella normally inverts. There are some games where the opposite side inverts, or there's some games where there's no inverting at all. It's not a given that Cucurella inverts every single game. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. Yeah, Kudos would have been good, but I don't think we were never, despite reports saying we were thinking about it. I think the reports made it out to the interest to be far greater than it actually was. I think in the end, I don't think the Kudos interest was ever that major. I don't think it was ever that major. Yeah, exactly. I think maybe League Cup or FA Cup, one of those two. I think will win. We have to take the domestic competitions more seriously. We have to. Because last season, that was a big downer. A big downer. No. They're definitely not. Because we actually win stuff. Whereas Arsenal don't win shit all. So, no. Could LB be right in the future? Potentially, could be. That could turn out to be right. But I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, no, hate to end the lap with smart purchases. No one's denying that we've not made smart purchases. It's just, you suffer one injury and you're suddenly panicking. That's not good. That's not good planning. To suffer one injury and then but yeah, Deivid Washington is back. He's returning to Chelsea. 1 goal in 19 games at Santos, so he is crap basically. We have to break the Wembley curse. We have to. No, I didn't. Look, I didn't say we don't play with wingers. I didn't say that. My point is that on the right-hand side, my point is that it's not always 2 touchline wingers. Okay. Normally it's 1 touchline winger, and then the other one might be a bit more of an inside forward. I don't say we don't play with wingers, but normally on one side, it's a bit more of an inside forward rather than an out-and-out touchline winger. And I never said we don't play with wingers. That's not true. I definitely didn't say that. My point was that Esteval against West Ham didn't play as an out-and-out touchline winger. He played more as a bit of an inside forward on that right side with Gusto overlapping him. The same when Palmer plays on the right. He won't play as a touchline winger. He'll play more inside and Gusto will overlap, providing the width on the right-hand side. That's the point that I'm making. That is the point that I'm making. By the way, chat, we're still over 150 in the building, only 109 likes. So please keep smashing the like button. Smash the like button, chat. Get us up to 120, 130. Keep running it up and subscribe if you're new around here as well. But let's get these likes up and please keep subscribing as well. Would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, chat, run it up, run it up. Let's get these likes up, people. Come on, guys. Yeah, I don't understand why we didn't go for Gurhey. Maybe we tried for Gurhey and he wasn't interested in joining us. Maybe he didn't want to come back. Maybe he didn't want to come back. We just don't know. But Gurhey just felt like such an obvious move to do. Wish these spoiler directors were not so limited, like a Kanji for 2 million loan. You can guarantee, though, if it was for Chelsea, it would have been the loan fee would have been bigger. But I get your point. I get your point. So yeah, that's the situation, guys. That is the situ right now. And then when we come back after the break, it's big. It's Brentford away, Bayern Munich away, and Man United away as our first 3 games after the break. Those are big games. Those are massive games after the break. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how we do, because yeah, those are huge games. Huge games. Huge, chat. And that's where it gets exciting. That's where it gets exciting now. We don't have to talk about transfers anymore. We don't have to talk about the window. The full focus now is going to be on the football. The full focus is on the football. And that's always the best thing. Full focus on the football. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it now. You know, the transfer window's been great. The summer's been great. It's been good fun. But now we can focus on the good stuff. And I'll be honest, chat. Before you know it, we're going to be back in we're going to be back at January, and it's going to be transfer window settings again. Before you know it, that's exactly what's going to happen. How am I feeling after the transfer window? Yeah, look, I feel mainly positive. But yeah, as I said, light in some key areas, which is disappointing. But you know, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. That's the that's what we've got to realize here, chat. You cannot have it all. So that's where we are. But yeah, I think it's exciting. Obviously wasn't. I mean, I think Kolo Muani has been someone Chelsea have looked at previously. I do think he's someone that's been looked at. He absolutely is. He's definitely someone that's been looked at. But it's a bit of a disappointment. It is a bit of a disappointment. No denying it. No denying it whatsoever. Disappointing. We can't be making statements like that one day after the summer window's closed. We've got no idea. We've got no idea what the club are planning to do in January. Absolutely no idea. So yeah. But yeah, chat. How are we feeling in general? Are we feeling positive about? Are we feeling positive about the season? What are we thinking? What are we thinking? Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we'll win a trophy. I am pretty confident we'll bag a trophy this season. I think so. You know, get a trophy and get in a top three. That again is progress. Do better in the domestic cups, Champions League. Get to the knockout rounds, and you've got no idea what's going to happen. Because they're simply not going to play non-stop. That's why. They just aren't. That's why we've bought in the players we have to have rotation and to have options. Palmer will play most of the time. Caicedo probably play most of the time, but there's going to be a lot of rotations. No one's saying that top four is a trophy. No one said that. Yeah, no, we are light in certain areas, but yeah, I still think there's definitely grounds to feel positive, grounds to feel optimistic, and grounds to feel that we can go and have a decent season. That's the reality of the situation, chat. Definitely things to be positive about. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. What's there not to look forward to? We're back in the Champions League, chat. We're back in the Champions League. Yeah, if company selects him, yeah. He can be in the squad, absolutely. Yeah, he can 100% be in the squad. So we wait and see. Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost a guarantee that Jackson scores against us. I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say. It just feels so obvious, doesn't it? Just feels so obvious that is exactly what's going to happen. Exactly what's going to happen. And we also need to hope that no one gets injured in the international break. We really need to hope that's going to happen. That's what we need to happen. No injuries in the international break. None. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this team's going to do in the Champions League. I'm really interested to see what our Champions League form and what our Champions League situation is going to be like. Keeping Lavia fit is going to be massive. That's going to be crucial. Can we do that? Can we do that as well? That's something that I need. That's something I'm hoping for. That's something we desperately need to do. Desperately. I mean, how bad was this injury at the Club World Cup that he's literally not played since then? I mean, how bad is it? We don't really get an update on it. Do we even know what the injury is, what the injury was? We have got a problem if João Pedro gets injured. Yeah, we do. We still don't know how long the lap's out for. There's been no confirmation of that. Palmer, we know he's had a groin issue, but there's been no real confirmation of how long he's going to be out for. So yeah. It's a strange one. Our midfield is good. It is very good. Yeah, I think Asugu can be good as well. I mean, again, draw dependent. I think we get to the. I think we can make quarterfinals. I think we'll get to quarterfinals. Yeah, quarterfinals of the Champions League is my prediction. I think we go quarterfinals, Champions League. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah. But anyway, chat, I think we're going to round this one out now. Big up to everyone who has tuned in. Big up to everyone. Great show again, as always. Big love for the support, as always. It's greatly appreciated. I may well be back tomorrow with some more content, try and get some collaborations and stuff going whilst we're over this international break. Let me know as well in the chat, what content do you want to see over the international break? Is there anyone that you want to see on the channel? And I'll see if I can make it happen. Let me know. Let me know in the chat who you would like to see and what sort of things you might want to see during the international break. I know I won't be at the women's game this Friday, no. But yeah, big up to everyone. Smash up the likes on your way out. Subscribe if you are new round here as well. That would be greatly appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.